You won't believe what Kirk Frost recently shared on Hip Hop and Love. Over the years, we've witnessed heartbreak, betrayal, and unexpected turns. Out on TV. But what if I told you that all of the information you believe to be true about the program was actually a skillfully constructed delusion, that the drama that had us? Kirk Frost has finally spoken out, and what he's revealing will permanently alter your perspective on reality. Gluten to our screens wasn't entirely real. Producers have marketed American tales of love, betrayal, and redemption for years, but Kirk argues it's all a fake and that there were scripts behind the scenes. Yes, the emotional outbursts and violent altercations were supposedly caused via covert coaching sessions and even staged fights. Planned for ratings, but why come forward now and share these things after all this time? What Kirk is exposing is more than simply a shocking revelation. It's a wake-up call. If you believe you know the true narrative of love and hip-hop, call him as he unveils the machine that transformed his life into a must-watch drama. Rethink your assumptions, because Kirk Frost's recent revelation will completely reveal reality television as we know it. It all began too quietly, in fact, and viewers were still in shock over love and hip-hop's drama from the previous season when Kirk Frost started giving away cryptic clues on social media in a string of ambiguous tweets. A few Instagram stories featuring shadows capture, and all of a sudden there was a renewed buzz about what Kirk was hiding and what bombshell he was getting ready to reveal. In those early days, the entire fanbase was holding their breath as rumors ran wild. Was it a huge feud or another controversy involving Rashida, a new cherished child? There were ideas about a castmate everywhere on the internet, but no one could have foreseen the reality that Kirk had gotten himself into. Problems once more. But this time Kirk said he had discovered something much greater than himself and was going to reveal the fundamental basis of. Behind the scenes of the show, Kirk was reportedly becoming more agitated every day, according to people close to him, and he had begun researching old. He was deeply shaken by the storylines he discovered after analyzing footage and speaking with folks who had long since moved on from love and hip-hop. Kirk was certain that love and hip-hop weren't real, and that all of the emotional conversations he thought were genuine were contrived. Initially, Kirk attempted to maintain these elements, but it was a full-fledged scripted drama masquerading as real life, not just a reality show with some creative editing. After learning that he had been a part of the machine, he struggled with his own guilt and wondered if he was somewhat to blame for not speaking out sooner. He had played the character and allowed the company to create his life narrative whatever it pleased for years, but as everything came together, Kirk started to perceive himself differently. He was no longer merely a participant, but rather a pawn, and the manipulation was pervasive. Kirk wasn't the only one who had been pushed. Kirk said that other cast members were forced into unsuitable parts by producers, who fed them lines and urged them to engage in fictitious altercations, disagreements, and even started fictitious controversies. Kirk recalled one specific incident in which a cast member sobbed during a reunion performance at the time, it appeared to be a genuine, unfiltered encounter, but Kirk now realized that everything had been planned and that the producers had fueled. In addition to backstage fanning the flames throughout production and even reheating certain scenes to make them appear more intense, Kirk also started to suspect that the show's creators were playing a much bigger game than just focusing on numbers. By closely manipulating the plot, they could convert any. With a single edit, a cast member may turn into a hero or a villain, advancing or ruining someone's career. For Kirk, this realization was both frightening and freeing. He no longer viewed himself as the antagonist that followers had grown to love or despise, but rather as a guy ensnared in a web of deceit. As Kirk's determination strengthened, and he made the decision to tell the world what he knew. However, he wasn't just interested in blowing the whistle. He wanted to do it well, so this wasn't going to be whether it was a tirade on social media or a tea confession on a podcast, Kirk wanted to gather proof, arrange his ideas, and ensure that when he did speak, he started gathering as much information as he could, including hacked emails, old footage, testimonies from former cast members, and even covert recordings he had taken while working on the project. This wasn't merely to clear his name, it was also to reveal a system that Kirk thought had exploited him and innumerable others for years, and he believed he was a guy opposing a strong machine that had transformed reality TV into a meticulously controlled illusion. But Kirk realized the risk he was taking when he learned more about the inner workings of the program, which the producers weren't going to let him go, and shattered. Kirk's first major step was to publish a brief video to his social media accounts with a mysterious statement. He stared directly into the camera as he hinted at an impending revelation that you had been watching for years. But what if I told you it was never real? Warned you that hip-hop and love are darker than you would have thought. The video ended suddenly, forcing viewers to search for answers all night. The internet was ablaze, with Kirk Frost trending and everyone curious about what he would say. The rumors intensified as the producers of Love and Hip Hop remained silent, probably in the hopes that Kirk's moment would be picked up by fans, bloggers, and even mainstream news agencies. Defiance would end, but Kirk wasn't giving up. In fact, he was just getting started. And this is where things started to change, according to sources behind the scenes. Asserted that producers had begun to panic, with some apparently contacting Kirk to ask him to reconsider his actions, and others allegedly attempting to discredit him by spreading false information that Kirk was merely attempting to remain relevant, but it didn't succeed. Kirk had the receipts and was prepared to provide them to the. By this point, Kirk was totally focused on his goal and aware that speaking out could jeopardize his broadcast career and result in legal action, difficulties with money, and a lifetime of industry blacklisting. But Kirk didn't care anymore, since he thought the truth was more important. More than anything else, he was willing to take the chance, and as a result, Kirk Frost, who was previously portrayed as the eternal villain of hip-hop and love, was suddenly. Fans were waiting impatiently for the time when Kirk, posing as the whistleblower who would reveal the show's darkest secrets, would ultimately make everything public. And when Kirk Frost did, the fallout would be more devastating than anyone could have predicted. His early posts and cryptic statements were only the beginning. Soon after, he started revealing snippets. Speaking out was like opening a Pandora's box. His evidence, including audio recordings, emails, and even old contracts, as well as the information he revealed, created a picture that was far more scandalous than fans could have imagined. His first bombshell was regarding the notorious hotel fight from a few seasons ago, where Kirk and Rashida's animosity was concealed. Fans were fed up with picking sides and engaging in interminable debate on social media following the all-time high that ended in a furious altercation in a lavish suite. But now Kirk showed that the entire scenario was meticulously planned, with producers having spent hours coaching Kirk and Rashida on the conflict. What to say is that the entire scene was a fake. The alleged hotel suite was actually a set designed to resemble one that appeared so unfiltered and emotional that it was practiced several times before the cameras started rolling. Kirk further asserted that some of the actors weren't even. He claimed that the producers purposefully put people together and provided them words to give the appearance of intimate friendships or rivalries prior to the broadcast. Members of the personal conflict cast who had never met before were forced to pretend to have decades of history, complete with alliances, betrayals, and resentments. This network of fabricated connections transformed the program into a meticulously regulated drama machine in which each scene was intended to evoke greatest indignation. But Kirk asserted that the financial drama's arguments over money were not limited to the made-up on-screen relationships. He supplied documents purporting to demonstrate that some of the child support claims were false, and he also manufactured suspicions of hidden bank accounts. Kirk said that the show's evidence was either substantially manipulated or completely faked, with bank statements flashing on screen throughout episodes. The more outrageous figures, and producers frequently gave them talking points before cast members dumped on each other over money. Fans' reactions were swift and furious just before filming, and hashtags like #KirkFrostExposed and #Love and Hip Hop were all over social media. Astute viewers started rewatching previous episodes, carefully examining each disagreement, heartfelt confession, and tragic exit. Had appeared authentic, felt dubious, and fabricated memes went viral, putting Kirk in the middle of a maelstrom over which he could not keep certain followers under control. The more Kirk revealed, the more people praised his bravery for speaking the truth, while others accused him of lying to protect his own name. Polarized the audience, while Kirk's revelations began to focus attention on other cast members that the former stars of the show hadn't asked for. Those who had long since moved on were abruptly drawn back into the drama when bloggers contacted them for comments, and some of them grudgingly. One former cast member, speaking anonymously, said that Kirk wasn't lying and that producers had pushed them to pretend to be in a relationship with. Although we had hardly spoken previously, another co-star advised me to pretend that we were dating. At first, I assumed it was innocuous, but eventually, when more people came forward, the storyline drifted away from Kirk's personal story, and by the time the season aired, people believed we were in love, although it was so phony. Complaints to a more comprehensive expose of the show's production techniques, in which producers were charged with employing influence and pressure to control not just the actors as well as the plots. Former crew members started to narrate how they were told to alter specific sequences to add suspense, or how one editor explained how they were once given raw footage and instructed to make it appear as though they were recording continuously until they caught something explosive. Like she cheated, the editor explained, I had to rewrite and eliminate scenes to match their desired plot, regardless of what actually occurred to Kirk. Highlighted the ways in which producers took advantage of the cast's weaknesses and charged them with focusing on those who were having difficulties. Kirk said that early in his love and hip-hop journey, they would be more inclined to agree with unreasonable demands, whether they were financial or emotional. He was keen to establish a reputation and earn a consistent income, but as the years passed, he came to understand that the cost of fame on the show was greater than he. Have you ever thought that they want you to be more than simply yourself? He claimed that they want you to be a character that they can manipulate, and that control goes beyond the set. Kirk disclosed how the production team kept an eye on and occasionally managed the cast members' social media profiles, curating their postings to match. According to the plot of the show, cast members were under pressure to remove whatever they posted that didn't suit the current plot. Kirk even claimed that the show's public relations team staged some of the web crises that occurred during the season in order to build buzz by fabricating leaks. Kirk stated that they wanted the audience to believe they were witnessing the actual action, but this was all a ploy as more. When information surfaced, the industry began to pay attention, with mainstream news outlets and entertainment blogs and celebrity gossip sites starting to cover it. While Love and hip-hop producers said nothing in response to Kirk's revelations, the network issued a hazy statement stating that they support the integrity of their programs, but viewers weren't buying it. The controversy went beyond Kirk's personal account, and people began to doubt the veracity of. Kirk remained steadfast despite getting what he wanted, leaving other reality programs questioning if many of their favorite moments were truly made up. Characterized as covert threats from business insiders, he persisted in speaking out, and Kirk acknowledged in one of his videos that I knew I would be banned. They would come after me, but I'm sick of living a lie. I'd rather be honest and suffer the repercussions than continue to act hypocritically. Already beginning to accumulate, Kirk's calls were not returned by longtime industry colleagues, and his appearances on other reality series were abruptly canceled. Although there were rumors that the network was thinking about taking legal action, Kirk was pushed to do so by his biggest supporters, his followers, and a few former cast members. Despite the increasing pressure, Kirk, you are the only one who has the courage to speak up. One admirer responded, "Don't let them silence you." Seemingly committed to completing his job, he alluded to far more significant revelations to come by claiming to have evidence that might drastically alter the. His audience grew over the course of the weeks, his social media messages received thousands of likes and shares, and his videos were. Even though it was watched by millions, the question of how far Kirk would go and what the final fallout would be, would his revelations actually bring about change, or would they just disappear when Kirk's next scandal takes the stage? The stakes were bigger than ever before, and he wasn't merely battling for his personal reputation. Was taking on a whole sector of the economy that had long prospered from deceit, and whether he succeeded or failed, the world of hip-hop and love remained unaffected. Would never be the same again as Kirk Frost's revelations about love and hip-hop started to spread around the entertainment industry due to the ongoing leaks. By now, The avalanche of data he had produced was too overwhelming for world fans, critics, and even industry insiders to ignore. The outcry wasn't limited to social media. The story was being picked up by mainstream outlets, which dug more into Kirk's allegations. New portions were discussed, exposing the negative aspects of talk programs and reality TV. Although the battle was far from finished, Kirk won a new generation of fans after weather shows like Love and Hip Hop went too far in their quest for ratings. Supporters and viewers applauded him for at last speaking up and exposing the truth. He also had to deal with a more antagonistic industry nearly immediately. Seemed to be closing all doors. His calls to old co-workers went unanswered. His planned appearances on other shows were abruptly canceled. And longtime business associates discreetly withdrew, sending the message that Kirk was no longer wanted in the reality TV industry, and that alone was yet another scandal. But Kirk persisted in speaking out and posting on the internet, describing in detail what it was like to work under the continual. He talked about the emotional toll it took on him and his family, as well as the producers who dominated every part of his on-screen life. Over the years, the filmmakers had distorted his relationships and even his mental state, making him a caricature of the perpetual villain and unfaithful spouse. Although he admitted his errors, Kirk maintained that the filmmakers had exaggerated his shortcomings and created scenarios that made him appear far worse than he actually was. One of the most unexpected turns occurred when other cast members, both current and former, started speaking out, although some stayed faithful to the others in the franchise came forward to support Kirk's allegations, including a former cast member who disclosed that she had been told to initiate altercations with another star on the "I never hated her, and I didn't even know her. The producers instructed me to say these things so that we would have a pretext to quarrel with another cast member on camera." Acknowledged that his alleged affair was a made-up plot point. These admissions mounted, making it increasingly difficult for the show's creators to reject Kirk's charges as unfounded. The network naturally stayed silent and only made evasive remarks on their dedication to creating high-caliber entertainment, yet rumors circulated that executives were having urgent meetings to talk about harm. Many advertisers began to withdraw their sponsorships because they were uncomfortable being linked to a program that was being closely watched. The fallout was widespread. Beyond Kirk, it jeopardized the foundation of Love and the hip-hop franchise. Yet despite all the chaos and criticism, Kirk discovered an unexpected source of strength to his followers, even though the entertainment industry appeared determined to eradicate him. Many fans viewed him as a courageous whistleblower who his followers gathered behind him as he revealed the truth at great personal risk online, saturating his social media with supportive words and hashtags like #team. For weeks, Kirk and #Expose Reality TV was popular, and independent media outlets started disseminating Kirk's proof, so it couldn't be easily forgotten. Rashida, whose relationship with Kirk had long been at the heart of the drama on the show, made an unexpected appearance after years of having a negative public image, entangled with the turmoil of their on-screen romance. But she has now publicly discussed the deception they both endured in a rare statement. Kirk and Rashida discussed in the conversation how producers would set them against one another, create cheating scandals, and distort their true. Rashida acknowledged that there were moments when I honestly believed Kirk was working behind my back, but it turns out that life issues are being turned into inflated narratives. The revelation that Rashida was also a victim of the system was part of the screenplay they gave us, and they exploited our genuine feelings to create phony drama. Struck a profound chord with fans who had long criticized her for remaining with Kirk through numerous scandals. Many started to view her differently and no longer as complicit. Amid the confusion, but Kirk and Rashida's united front as another pawn in a game far larger than their marriage gave his accusations more weight and changed the plot from Kirk making excuses to suggesting that there might be a major issue with the way these concerts are run. As the weeks went by. Months, the scandal showed no signs of abating as Kirk kept releasing new information and supporters continued to analyze every revelation, podcast, blog, and talk about Love and the purported manipulations of hip-hop, which the producers earlier admired, inundated reality TV gossip YouTube channels. for their ability to create compelling plots were suddenly portrayed as cruel puppeteers prepared to jeopardize the reputations of their cast members in order to achieve greater ratings. The discussion expanded beyond love and hip-hop, igniting discussions about the ethics of reality TV in general. Kirk, in spite of being banned, devised methods to. In order to preserve his voice, he started a YouTube channel where he talked about both his personal struggles and the more general problems affecting them. He dissected the workings of reality TV production in a widely shared video, describing how producers direct actors towards. The video received millions of views and caused great controversy because of some behaviors that alter film to create a distorted timeline and even start rumors to increase tension. Demands for greater openness in reality TV at the same time as Kirk started collaborating with advocacy organizations that promoted stronger reality TV safeguards. He pushed for new regulations that would stop producers from putting actors in degrading roles or accepting exploitative contracts. Kirk made use of his newly acquired platform to voice his complaints and attempt to bring about long-lasting change in an industry that has been stagnant for too long. Kirk had been working in the background, but not everyone supported him. Some former cast members accused him of being hypocritical, pointing out that he had profited from. Others questioned his motivations, saying that his tell-all campaign was simply another means of remaining in the same system that he was now criticizing. Kirk appeared resolute in the face of these attacks, which followed him everywhere he went. He insisted that his objective was never for his own benefit. It was about bringing attention to the negative aspects of reality TV and ensuring that future contestants wouldn't have to go through what he and Rashida had. Kirk's life appeared drastically different as they started to settle down. He was no longer the man that viewers had grown to know from his career and love songs. TV was over, and he had no plans to rejoin the fold. Instead, he accepted his new position as a vocal opponent of the business, someone who had. Kirk Frost ultimately decided to permanently break his silence because he had nothing left to lose and everything to gain by advocating for accountability and transparency. Changed the face of reality TV, hip-hop, and love in general. The business couldn't ignore his assertions, and viewers couldn't forget the realities he had disclosed, and although it was unclear whether any reform would ensue, Kirk's account undoubtedly signaled a shift in the boundaries between. The public would never watch their favorite shows in the same manner when reality and fiction were revealed, and that's the backstory of the real story behind the icon. But do you think Kirk's revelations have altered your perspective on hip-hop and love? Or are these reality programs going too far gone? Or do you think they still have an opportunity to be more truthful with their audience? Please share your thoughts in the comments section and let us know where you stand. And don't forget to like this if you want more shocking revelations of hidden mysteries and suspenseful tales. I promise you won't want to miss what comes next, so press the subscribe button and enable notifications. Until then, keep asking questions, observing, continuing to converse, and I'll see you at the next one.